Another day, another resignation. That is Donald Trump's administration, plagued by the chaos that he has created with cover-up after cover-up after cover-up. And this time, it is Epstein that is once again causing Donald Trump the issues that are ending his administration. Because as his own chief of staff very well understands, everyone under Donald Trump's White House, they're at each other's throats. They're out to save themselves, and that is exactly why Donald Trump just saw another top official resign. Because a shocking Epstein leak is once again revealing why everyone in this administration is terrified of what is to come, and we are going to get into why that led to a new resignation. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into this resignation, I want to begin with what is the reason for it, and that's what Ro Khanna broke down right here, talking about Epstein and what Susie Wiles had to say in Vanity Fair.
Joining us now, Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna of California. He's a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman Khanna, we heard Susie Wiles say that Donald Trump had nothing to do with Todd Blanche, his former criminal defense lawyer, going down there to interview Ghislaine Maxwell before she gets the transfer. She says that was Todd Blanche's idea. What do you make of what you learned about this from this interview?
That she knows this has been a colossal mess up for Donald Trump and that Donald Trump and the administration have no credibility. I mean, she's basically implying that Ghislaine Maxwell tricked the president of the United States. I don't know if that makes it any better, but the idea is not believable that his personal attorney would go down there. They know that Maxwell has information that could be incriminating, and then suddenly she gets better treatment. I'd like to see Susie Wiles clarify, because she's obviously distancing herself from the rest of the article. Let's have her clarify this point, which she said she would.
She's also, in discussing this situation, the Epstein file she says that she has read what she calls the Epstein file. And she says Donald Trump is in it, and Donald Trump is in it a lot, but of course he's not doing anything wrong. And what she reads and what she says is the Epstein file. She says that when Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, first pretended to release the Epstein files, that she was releasing folders full of nothing. What do you see in what she's trying to say about what she knows or doesn't know about the Epstein file?
Well, it's what I find bewildering is these people are acting as if they're bystanders watching your program and have nothing to do with it. If she's read the files, just release the files. Why did you make Thomas Massie and I go through all of this? Why have you made the survivors come to the Capitol twice and having to tell their stories, relive their trauma again and again? If you read the files and you don't think Donald Trump is implicated, release the files. And that is what is so infuriating. If you thought rightfully that Pam Bondi whiffed and that you're really engaged in a cover-up, why didn't you, as chief of staff, say we need to release the files? I mean, it's just mind-boggling.
I love how Ro points out what is the obvious truth, that Susie Wiles is admitting that Donald Trump is dumb enough to get tricked by Ghislaine Maxwell. And mind you, that is exactly what happened. Donald Trump was tricked with flattery, or there's an equal exchange of goods here. Of course, we know Ghislaine Maxwell wants to stay in her 5-star resort prison. She gets a dog, she does yoga, she gets DoorDash delivered. And Donald Trump attempted and failed in his attempt to cover up that relationship with Epstein and everything that Ghislaine Maxwell did. But in doing so, he only brought more attention. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is expanding upon what attention will be brought to a list that Maxwell says doesn't exist, Trump says doesn't exist, but she has a different idea.
You mentioned the few places where you've broken with him, including on the Epstein files and having those released. The DOJ deadline is Friday. And Susie Wiles was actually pretty critical of the Justice Department's handling of this so far. She said there is no client list, and it sure as hell wasn't on Pam Bondi's desk. Why do you think the Attorney General said that it was then?
I'm not sure. I don't have specifics on that, but I've listened to the women themselves. And the women themselves, a smaller portion of them, which is There's a lot of them. They think there's around 1,000 victims. But a smaller portion of these women say that there is a list of men, rich, powerful men, that they were passed around to.
So Susie Wiles, by admitting that Donald Trump was, in his younger years, and by that she means when he was 50, friends with Epstein, and Marjorie Taylor Greene, talking again about this Epstein list. The Epstein list that Pam Bondi said was on her desk and then somehow disappeared, is once again bringing this scandal into the public view. Right? There is so much happening in Donald Trump's administration. Sometimes it's hard to narrow it down. But something that just did is the man who is resigning seemingly over this botched release of half-hearted Epstein files. And it's Dan Bongino. And his resignation, which is happening right now, he's reportedly packing up his desk as you are watching this video, shares a lot about how Donald Trump is going to try to go forward with the Epstein scandal. And I want to take a look at the resignation. Dan Bongino is boxing up his FBI office as exit talks grow. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino is clearing out his office after reportedly admitting he will be leaving the bureau within weeks, according to the New York Times. Amid the never-ending saga surrounding the will they, won't they release of the Epstein files, Bongino has told people around him he could depart as soon as this week or late as mid-January, the Times reported. The outlet said the former Secret Service agent has already begun sending office knickknacks and other personal items back to Florida, where he intends to return to pro-Trump broadcasting ahead of the 2026 midterms. Trump-friendly outlet Fox Propaganda, citing sources, has disputed that Bongino's office is already empty, but conceded that his imminent departure is a possibility. It was reported last week by former Politico journalist Rachel Bade that Bongino was to be Trump's fall guy over Epstein, though the FBI denied this to be the case to the Daily Beast in the strongest terms. An FBI source told the Daily Beast on Wednesday, while we all serve at the pleasure of the president, of course, it's not in any way true Bongino is being axed over the Epstein files or anything else. If and when he does leave, it would be on his own. On his own? Sure. Absolutely. It is definitely Dan Bongino's decision to leave. This resignation, to me, kind of illustrates a couple of things. One is the fact that Donald Trump understands he needs a fall guy, and two, that Bongino, who I don't think of as a smart person, but I do think he understands the MAGA landscape, wants a bit of distance from this scandal. He knows that the Epstein cover-up is the biggest black mark that can be put on MAGA right now. It is not stealing people's health care. It is not racism or transphobia. Certainly they celebrate that. It's not even just association with pedophiles, because they've looked past that. It is this scandal, this lie, and this cover-up. Keeping it all from MAGA is what they view as the gravest sin, as the greatest sin. That is what they think. That's what they're saying right now. And so Bongino is reading the situation and saying, if I want to continue to be a MAGA podcaster, if I want to continue my grift, which is, by the way, the most sacred thing to MAGA, the grift, I got to leave. He understands that. It's also an opportunity for Donald Trump to maybe shake things up more at the FBI, get rid of Kash Patel. The talks of his firing being imminent, those are being reported right now. But it's just another example of the shakeup happening within MAGA and how chaos is constant under Donald Trump's White House. And it's not just at the FBI, it is also his chief of staff. I think Lawrence O'Donnell gave the best summary of in a segment that he had last night.
Susie Wiles said, quote, "He wants to keep on blowing boats up until Maduro cries uncle, and people way smarter than me on that say that he will." It'd be nice to think there are people way smarter than Susie Wiles working for Donald Trump, but there is no evidence of that. Susie Wiles says that the Trump reason for killing people in small boats is regime change, not to stop drug trafficking, as Donald Trump has claimed. Of course, it is impossible to stop drug trafficking by randomly shooting at small boats that might or might not be carrying cocaine, which is not one of the real killer drugs that makes it to the United States, like fentanyl. That's the most deadly illicit drug in America, fentanyl. And tonight, Donald Trump announced that he intends to impose a naval blockade on oil tankers in and around Venezuela. So now it's about oil and not about drugs. Susie Wiles said that J.D. Vance's conversion from someone who used to compare Donald Trump to Hitler to a Trump worshiper was, quote, sort of political. He's an avowed ketamine user, is how Susie Wiles explained Elon Musk's depraved destruction of the United States Agency for International Development. Quote, I was initially aghast, Wiles told me, because I think anybody that pays attention to government and has ever paid attention to USAID believed, as I did, that they do very good work. Yes, they do. Life-saving work. Yes, they did. They did very good work. They were saving lives every day, and now thousands of people are dying because Susie Wiles just watched as Elon Musk did whatever he wanted to do. Not the way I would do it, is what she said about Musk's crushing USAID. What did Donald Trump know about the United States Agency for International Development? Susie Wiles said, the president doesn't know and never will. He doesn't know the details of these smallish agencies. Donald Trump doesn't know and never will know what USAID was doing before he destroyed it. He does not know that USAID was saving lives by the thousands. Bill Gates described what Elon Musk did to USAID as the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children, and Susie Wiles helped Elon Musk in, as Bill Gates put it, killing the world's poorest children. One unnamed former Republican White House chief of staff told Chris Whipple, I find that immoral. Immoral is what they do. Immoral is Donald Trump's brand. And Susie Wiles believes that her job is not to serve the national interest. She believes her job is to serve Donald Trump, no matter how sick and perverse Donald Trump's desires are. I find that immoral.
Everything is falling apart for Donald Trump, and it's going to be difficult for him to have a fall guy in any meaningful way when we know that every single person who works for this administration is simply an extension of Trump. And so it is hard for him to find the person to point to and say, your fault, when they are all taking their direction from Donald Trump. Makes the cover-up a lot more difficult, too, when the only people that you can hire are fucking stupid. That is Donald Trump's administration, and that is why it is falling apart. And that is why we're really going to enjoy it, especially on this well-dressed Wednesday. And if you want to support this show and the gimmicks that are to come, because there's more gimmicks on the way, one might involve Buddy the Elf. Stay tuned to that. As always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.